I like this.
Miles Routledge has been described as a danger tourist, seen here shooting a Taliban weapon in Afghanistan last year. And the 23-year-old from Birmingham is now in the group's custody.
In life, you always have to take a gamble in order to benefit a little bit. Why do you think I went to Afghanistan in the first place? There's a risk and there's a reward, but for me there's only reward because it's so much fun.
Kevin Cornwell, a 53-year-old aid worker from Middlesbrough, was detained back in January, alongside the British manager of his hotel, who hasn't been named. Though a negotiator working for the release of these last two men says the Taliban have allowed their families their first contact.
We're pleased to inform and announce that there has been interaction and a phone call between the families directly and the two detained British men. Those conversations, most importantly, were unscripted, meaning they were able to speak freely and confirm that both men are in good health. And we're very excited about this development because to date there has been no real engagement or access from anyone regarding such detainees. And this is a positive step forward in not just dealing with this matter, but hopefully with other matters moving forward with the Taliban.
The Taliban detained two of the men after a handgun was found locked in the safe of their hotel, though it's understood that it was kept with official permission. Mr. Routledge was arrested more recently after posting pictures of his exploits to tens of thousands of his followers on social media. He had taken no notice of Foreign Office advice against any travel to Afghanistan, and back in 2021 he was amongst those evacuated by British troops when the Taliban took over. In a statement, the Foreign Office said, "We're working hard to secure consular contact with British nationals detained in Afghanistan, and we're supporting families." Though the Home Secretary implied that more direct government involvement had begun.
If there are risks to people's safety, if they're a British citizen abroad, then the UK government is going to do whatever it takes to ensure that they're safe. And the government is in negotiations and working hard to ensure people's safety is upheld.
Afghan girls are front and centre of the country's human rights crisis. Last month, girls returned to their primary school classes, but secondary and university education remain banned. And although the UK still sends aid to Afghans most in need, talking to the Taliban remains no easy task.
Jonathan Rugman there. Well, earlier I spoke to the Afghan politician and women's rights activist Fawzia Koofi, and I started by asking her if this was, as some are claiming, just a misunderstanding.
Well, that's what Taliban have been doing. They arrest women protesters, they hijack and kidnap foreigners, journalists. Recently, there were other journalists who were arrested by Taliban. And after being in Taliban custody for weeks, then they say there is a misunderstanding, which clearly there is no misunderstanding. They just want to verify every individual that travels to Afghanistan to ensure their links, what they do. So this is like a kind of controlling the country individual by individual, which is obviously for someone who lived in Afghanistan and for everyone who lives there. It's not a nice environment when you feel being under house arrest in your own country.
So what these three British men are experiencing is very much what Afghans are experiencing on a daily basis across the country as you see it.
Like I said, yes, everyone who lives in Afghanistan nowadays, they tell me that they feel as they are being under house arrest, especially the women. When the women get out of their homes, they ask them, well, you're not allowed to work, you're not allowed to go to school or university. Why are you out in the street? That feeling of, being, the second-class citizen is not a nice feeling. And for me, Alex, security is not just the absence of war. Security that the Taliban have claimed they are good at it. They have not been good at bringing security in terms of absence of the war, because we know there are a lot of people who get killed on a daily basis, either by Daesh attack or by Taliban extrajudiciary killings. But also people don't feel safe. They don't feel protected. They don't feel that there is a law that they could rely on in their own country, and for foreigners as well.
This seems to be, therefore, a long way from what the Taliban promised when they won the war, let's be frank. They said, they indicated it, there would be, I don't know, Taliban light. I don't want to make light of this, but they said they would be different this time around, didn't they?
Well, that's what they claim, that Taliban won the war. I don't believe they won the war. I just believe that Afghanistan was handed over to Taliban, honestly, because they fought for 20 years, and
the
in
same
20 years
thing.
they were not able to. In 20 years, they were not able to get even one control of one district. But when the international community withdraw the way they withdraw, they started, and especially the deal was signed with them, they started gaining the territory in our country. They claim that they have changed, Taliban 2.0. The narrative they created is publicly, they were saying to us during negotiation, but also to the media. In fact, when they just took over Kabul, I was in Kabul, their spokesperson in a press conference said that they have changed. But we now see in many policies, they have even become worse than who they were in 20 years back.
Fawzia Kufri, thanks very much indeed. We'll have to leave it there. Thanks indeed.